The Holy Spirit is certainly on the move and at work within all of you and others who are expressing an interest in exploring missional imagination in what we do in ministry these days. As we know, mission is God's idea. Mission is actually core to who God is. We have a sent and descending God, a holy, loving creator who's always extending God's self to beloved creation. This Missio Dei in Latin, the mission of God, is surely stirring something within us and our faith leaders, both lay and ordained. And it's what we refer to as an apostolic call. As the word mission in Latin means sent, so the Greek word apostle means a sent one. So by virtue of our baptism, we are all sent ones. Now, you are here probably because there's a ministry restlessness within you. There's kind of an inner desire to be out there, to be sent in the name and in the example of Christ. And perhaps you can't put your finger on it or describe it or even quite claim it, but there's a divine flutter within that you've sensed, and that's why you're drawn to this tonight. The Missional Imagination Conference gives you permission to explore this ministry stirring. And maybe you've been feeling rather isolated, or somehow that your discernment is askew because around you, others just don't understand. Across this country, in the Anglican Church, other churches, and in other countries, there are those of us who find ourselves being pulled in a fresh, unknown direction. And it's not that what we had been doing or engaged with our congregations is bad or is wrong. It's just that we're being prompted in the core of our souls to a reimagined paradigm. So I assure you, you are not alone. You are not an oddity for discerning this. This is a normal and credible stirring, or what we might even call an awakening to a new day. This missional call is not to be confused with a strategic plan or just a mere intellectual exercise. It's not something that needs to be figured out or identified or qualified or quantified as our next ministry project for 2025 and beyond. To be clear, mission is not a fresh way of enticing new people to fill our pews or to put cash in our coffers, and we know that. But I wonder, as we begin tonight, if you could reflect quietly for a moment and in silence answer this question for yourself. How do you define or explain mission? Just ponder that for a minute in quiet. How would you define mission? If someone was to ask you, you went to a mission conference, what is mission? How would you describe that? Our speakers tonight and on Saturday, they're going to unpack how they understand mission and what it means and what it looks like in their context. My favorite definition of mission is from missiologist Australian Michael Frost, and he says this: mission is both the announcement and the demonstration of the reign of God through Christ. I'm going to repeat that. Mission is both the announcement and the demonstration of the reign of God through Christ. Now, there's lots of definitions to mission. That's just one. But I think as I reflect on this one, our behaviors and our words connect people with the loving rule and intentions of the Creator. As Michael Frost explains, as committed Christians, we live questionable lives, or we should live questionable lives. People should kind of wonder, wow, why is she so gracious? Why is he so kind? Why are they generous? Why are they like that? And when this surprising life of grace and generosity become questionable, he says our neighbors will invite us to proclaim this reign of God. And of course, we do that in our deeds, in our words. Frost continues. He says, we are to become a godly, intriguing, socially adventurous, joyous presence in the lives of others. So to be clear, this is not about church growth, but if we're faithful to this missional call, it's quite likely we'll grow. Now, being missional is more of an art than science. And I've heard it described this way, that mission is not like swimming in a chlorinated, calm swimming pool. Mission is more like surfing the waves on a ragged seashore. Mission is not like the finely tuned precision of an orchestra in a big concert hall. Mission is more like an improvising jazz band in some small, familiar neighborhood club. Our missional call, both individually and collectively, is rather to an openness. Rather than constricting or dictating what the church needs to do next, it's actually a freedom. We're being invited by the Holy Spirit to a mysterious, exciting, liberating cooperation with God, to join God in the neighborhood. So our mission imperative, this nagging prompting by the Spirit, is to instilling a missional imagination within us, an intentional opening, an openness, an exploration, a risking and responding to where God is leading. So it's about an ongoing practice of deep listening and our faithful yes to the Holy Spirit. Now, what we mean by imagination is not just us making it up as we go along. Instead, it is the intentional practice of listening, of watching, of waiting, of sensing a glimpse of what is possible, and then leaning into it. Now, let's face it, there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of distractions, a lot of static. And yet there is a still, small voice piercing through. And just like Elijah in our preparation reading, missional imaginative work involves deep listening. And you're going to hear that over and over again tonight and on Saturday about listening, listening to others' voices, especially those voices that are silenced. Listening that we might be rattled or even shaken. Listening to be prompted into the next steps of this movement, the way of love. And this listening practice may call us to be bold and courageous. It may also be more subtle and slow. But we do assure you, it is the missional call of God. So you are here today because you're part of a fresh movement afoot led by the Holy Spirit. And it's exciting, it's terrifying, it's edifying, and there's nowhere else we would rather be as we say yes to the Spirit who calls us.